Hello and welcome to this edition of A Conversation With. I'm Jim Marshall of the New Bedford Cable Network, and in studio today we have a trio of baseball gurus as we're going to talk baseball, and we're going to talk Wareham Gatemen baseball in particular. Andy Lang, the president and CEO of the Gatemen. I have Owen, I don't want to make sure I pronounce it like Diodati, player for the Gatemen, and Will Koger, player for the Gatemen. Thanks for all for coming in today. And we got a game today, so we got to get ready to play.
That's right. We have a game at 6.
It's just a great time of year for you guys, and I know the Gatemen is such a huge part of the area. Talk a little bit, just the start of the season. Just give me an overview where we stand right now and how things are going.
Sure. So things are going good. They're pretty typical of a Cape League season. I think you always have one or two teams, maybe one from each division, who run away with it a little bit at the beginning, and everyone else is kind of bunched around 500. So we're bunched around 500. I think in our division, 2 through 5 is separated by maybe 1 game or 2 games. So we're right in the hunt. We're in 4th right now, but we're right in the hunt. Everything else has been going good, though. I mean, our players, we've had some kids go, some new kids coming in. We'll see what happens with the draft. We haven't, knock on wood, haven't had too many injuries. Sometimes you get hit with the injury bug, but things have been going pretty good.
Oh, and this is your second year. First, what position are you playing?
I play outfield.
All right.
So this is my second year here with Wareham, and I've enjoyed both seasons. I actually just got here a couple weeks ago for my second season here, but a couple different experiences last year, obviously, being in the UMass Dartmouth dorms, and then this year with the host family. There's been definitely unique and cool experiences that have come with both, but I'm glad to be back.
Oh, and Will, this is your first year.
Correct.
What's your impression so far?
I'm loving it. Yeah, it's definitely new, something new for me to get used to, I guess, but I'm just very fortunate to be in Cape. It's my first summer league, so I'm excited.
And what position you play?
Pitcher.
Okay.
Yep.
Talk to me at the start here. Obviously you've got these two guys. How do you go about picking a team or getting a team?
Right. So it's funny. Each year is a little bit different. So we have a new manager, Harvey Shapiro, this year. And Harvey really took control of all of that, picking the team. But in the past, it's all built on relationships. So you have relationships with different programs. You have relationships with different major league club scouts. And then you just have people calling you up or emailing you, just sending you names of players. And then you have to go through and, pick, which kid, and a lot of it is based on how they fit into whatever system you want to run, how they've played in the past, or just if it's a relationship with a college coach, you just trust them that, the player is a good player and can handle the competition of the Cape.
I didn't realize how many kids you have to have on the roster, too.
Right. So it's 30.
It surprised me, actually.
Yeah, it's a lot. When I first started, it was 26, and then after a couple years, it bumped up to 28, and now it's at 30. I think 30 is the max number. I know some people have talked about because of pitching. We can talk about that in a bit, but just because of pitching, you want to maybe go up to 32 or 35. It's too many. 30 is the perfect number. But again, your roster on day one, even the roster that you recruit in the fall, isn't going to be the roster that starts the spring college season, and it's not going to be the same roster when you start, and your roster is not going to be the same 2 weeks into the season or 4 weeks. It just changes all the time.
So it's fluid, and you're getting constant, I don't want to say constant, but you're getting messages from people who, I don't want to say who want to join because you've got an opening or something like that, so you're constantly looking for players too, right?
Yeah, you have to cover yourself. You have to make sure. It's a different environment now with the draft, so you have to be proactive rather than reactive. So I know we'll lose a few kids for the draft, and I know Harvey already has a couple of kids who are going to replace them. And a lot of that during the season is, leaning on those relationships that you have going back to the well, essentially, from different programs. Occasionally you'll get someone who says, hey, I'm available to play this year during the season, but that's kind of rare.
From your first on, where do you go to school?
I went to the University of Alabama for my first 3 years, and I'm transferring to the University of Oregon for my last year.
Couldn't go any farther northwest, I guess.
I know. I just complete polar opposites.
So as you're looking at it, because you make the decision to join the team in the fall.
So it kind of just depends on the season. My freshman year, I was slated to come here, and that's when COVID hit. So unfortunately, we didn't have that season. And after that, kind of got signed up again to come last summer, and was here for the entirety of last summer. And then this summer was a little more unique, just with me being a draft eligible player, and just the uncertainty of what could transpire this summer. My situation was pretty unique, but fortunate enough to get in here with the Gatemen over the last few weeks, and be back here and enjoy the summer, and be part of a great team.
What does the league do for you, baseball-wise? How does it? Because you've played a full season of college. What do these games do for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome here. I'm playing in the SEC at Alabama. You obviously face great competition all year long, and I would say that it, both ways it prepares me. My league play prepares me for the Cape, and the Cape prepares me for college play. So, the competition in this league is the best, across the country when it comes to college summer leagues, and I've been fortunate enough to come out and compete and play every day in this league, and it's an opportunity I won't ever take for granted.
Well, how about you? I mean, it's obviously pitching. Everybody needs pitching.
Yeah.
How did you go about joining the Gatemen?
So, kind of in the middle of my freshman year at Louisville, our coaches kind of tell us or point us where to go. We don't really get an option of, hey, we'd like to go here. It's kind of more of your coaches tell you where you're playing summer ball, and I think that's really cool. It's kind of different. It's not like high school the year right before my senior year, just like you're playing on a travel ball team near you, but now it's your coaches are telling you where you're playing summer ball, and it's cool. It's fun to be a part of.
What have you seen as a pitcher, the difference? I mean, going from college, you're still playing college kids, but as Owen said, you're playing the best. How you've got to get better, I would assume.
Yeah, definitely. It's you come in here and it's not strictly ACC. It's all kinds of conferences, and so you see kind of different types of play from different conferences. And compared to the ACC, I'd say it's similar, if not a little bit better, because I mean, like I said, everybody's not the same. So you're gonna have to switch up, like how you approach a hitter and how you pitch them. And I think that's just the fun part of it. Seeing all the talents of that these players have, it's really prepared me for my next years coming. So
when the Bay Sox were here, I remember Rick Miller, who was the former manager of the Bay Sox years ago, telling the kids they were on the field, the players. I don't know, it was obviously in July and stuff, and you could tell the kids were sort of tired. And he's like, "Listen, if you're a major leaguer, the season's halfway done. That's it." I'm curious. I mean, when you look at that, when you think of that, you've played a lot of baseball already. Both of you have, and that next level, is twice as long. Does that cross your mind when you can't get tired? You've got to fight through the doldrums, I guess, of July.
Yeah, I mean, baseball is one of those sports where your season's a marathon, and there's things that we do now that probably weren't done 50 years ago to get prepared and stay healthy and things like that. But you have to love this game to play it. When you're doing it every single day, if you don't love it, it will become a grind. And we have a great time here in Wareham, and we love being out there, and we have a lot of fun. So it's been pretty seamless for us being here this summer, at least speaking for myself.
How about pitching wise though? I mean, you throw a lot of innings, especially when you're playing in these summer leagues.
Yeah, so you get up here and it's kind of like it's the same routine kind of. So you're not pitching every game. So you just get to the field and you do what you have to do for that day to prepare yourself for your next outing. And so it's you kind of really have to find a fine line of what you do for yourself off the field when you're not pitching, just so you can be prepared for the next time you get out there.
Are you on a pitch limit or I don't say pitch count, but are you on an innings count or something like that?
Not really. It's kind of just however the coaches feel. We have a lot of guys in the staff that are really good. So if you're going for 3 strong innings and then you're like, I want to keep going, but you got to trust the next guy in because they're really talented as well.
So when does the season start, the next season start in college for you guys? It's Labor Day, really?
Well, I guess like your fall season will start. There's a certain day, I forget when it exactly it is, when you can start practicing, and then another day when you can start scrimmaging. And then you go all fall, get a little bit of a break during the winter, and then you start right back up when you get back to school for spring semester, and by the end of February you're playing.
And for you pitching, do you ever take time off, or?
You get a little bit of time after summer ball to kind of rest your arm a little bit. You just get in the weight room when you get back to school, when school starts, and then like he said, there's a date when you get back, and then you kind of you'll find a time when to start throwing and get prepared for those scrimmages.
From your standpoint, interesting enough, your season never ends. You were telling me off camera. I mean, you as the GM or the president, I mean, this is almost like a 12-month of the year gig for you guys.
Yeah, so it for the GM and for the coaches, it's constant, roster construction and getting all of that stuff done. For, the organization and the president and people doing that job, that is all year. We meet once a month throughout the year. We have to put together concessions, youth clinics, host families is a constant thing. Recruiting players is one thing. Recruiting host families is a whole nother. There's just a lot of working parts that go along with the organization that, frankly, for my first few years, I had no idea existed, right? But now I do. Now I get it.
And you've been there, what, 10 years?
Yeah, coming up on 10. So I started the fall after the 2013 season. So I started then, and I was the GM for all those years, and then this is actually my first year as president. So I knew all of this stuff existed, but as the GM, I wasn't really responsible for it.
Right.
So when they would talk about it, I'd say, "All right, guys, great job. Just let me know when you have everything all set."
Yeah, exactly.
But now, you're in it. It's fun, but it's a completely different side of baseball.
There's a lot of summer leagues, a lot of different summer leagues across the country. What makes the Cape League so much different?
I think these guys talked about it. The Cape League. So you have Team USA. Team USA will take the top 25 to 30 kids in the country, right? But they're doing the same thing we are. It's all about relationships. So just because their roster is 26, it doesn't mean they have the top 26 players. The next 300 of the best players in the country all want to come to the Cape. And they're here competing. And like Will said, you have ACC, SEC, Pac-12, Big 12, Big 10, these smaller conferences that have some good baseball teams in them. It's like an all-star game every single night.
Right.
So for a hitter, like you said, the doldrums of July, your hands are starting to feel a little bit heavy. Your feet are starting to feel a little bit heavy. And here comes 4 guys coming out, to throw against you who are 95 and above with a slider. It's tough. You figure out how to do it. Sometimes you improve just based off of the level of competition. And for Will, he's got to figure out how to get these kids out.
Yeah.
So I mean, they might not realize it day to day as they go in, but they'll just keep it all in their Rolodex. It's like scouting a player. You base your scouting off of guys you've seen in the past. Well, they'll go out and they will have either seen this particular pitcher or hitter, or they'll see people like them, or they'll be in the same type of situation. And it just gives them the confidence to know, I've done this before. I know how to approach this. Baseball is a game of approach. It's routine and approach. So that's what they work on.
Did you find that the experience last year helped you this past season that you had in college?
For sure. I mean, you learn in the Cape League how to deal with failure. It's as good as it gets, and you're going to go through times when you're on top of the mountain, and other times when you're getting beaten up a little bit, and that's just what comes with the league when you're facing the best of the best. And obviously, you're swinging a wood bat, which is not as favorable as a metal bat, and all these things, all the kids you face, the stuff you see, it's all just things like you say, you put in your toolbox and bring back to college, and then obviously for me, bring it back to the Cape this summer. I feel like I'm a lot better prepared this summer, and I know how to deal with that 0-for-4 game a little bit better. And it's just been an incredible experience in terms of just playing every day and doing it against the best.
I would assume the mental aspect has got to be just as important, if not more important, than even the physical things that you have to do.
Definitely. definitely, because it's a game of failure. If you go as a hitter, if you go 3 out of 10, I mean, you're an all-star, and pitching is a little bit different. There's an ERA in baseball, they say, but you can't look too deep into it because one bad outing could mess up 4 good outings. So it's definitely a game of failure, and it's definitely very mental.
What have you found as a pitcher right now when you're facing these hitters? What are the things that you've noticed about the hitters? As you said, you're playing the best of the best now. Not that you weren't in the ACC, but like you said, it's a higher level now. Yeah. What are you learning from the pitching aspect now that you didn't know perhaps before, you really didn't think of before?
So I'd say probably tendencies. I had something that I haven't really learned a lot until I got here. We have really good catchers on Wareham. I mean, I love throwing to them, and they've kind of taught me what a hitter's trying to do, when they're trying to do it, what maybe pitch they're sitting on. So it's really helped me, and I've kind of found a little bit of success in that with the catchers that we've had, and so I think that's probably the biggest thing for me.
Did you find, like, going from high school to college now that you have to have, because you guys are very talented, you could probably get away with the talent too when you're in high school now that you have to do the game planning and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's a really big factor because every hitter's different. They all have a lot of talent, and you can't just go in there and throw fastballs to them like you could in high school. And if you throw a hanging breaking ball in there, you might get away with it in your early years of high school. But when you get up here, if you leave one of those hanging, Owen's probably going to get it out of the field. So
it's a shot to center field in Wareham, though.
It is.
It's a poke there. From your standpoint, too, from the mental aspect, did you find obviously that you can't rely on your talent now? You've got to use the other aspects.
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at the highest level in the big leagues, and very rarely are you going to find a guy who isn't doing their homework before a game. There's those freak talents where there might be 1 or 2 guys in the league who can get away with not doing a ton. I mean, I think everyone's doing some sort of.
Right.
But the more information you have, the better. And there's things that some guys need that other guys don't, and it just depends player to player. But it's really important that you do your homework, and it's important now in the Cape to get used to doing that homework and get good at it. So when you get into pro baseball or whatever's next in your career, you're well equipped.
What are you finding the difference in just players now from 10 years ago when you started? Has baseball changed? Has the way the kids approached it or the physical aspect, has that changed, do you find?
I feel over the last 10 years, I mean, the kids, they haven't gotten bigger or stronger. They're still all big, strong kids. I feel like sometimes their approach is a little bit different. 10 years ago, they didn't have all the information. They were starting to get all the information, right? But when you go to their schools, they have more information than some minor league teams will give their players, right? So they have all the information they need. So, what Owen was talking about, hitting, I mean, you could have a different approach. Some guys will ambush pitches. Some guys will ambush zones. Some guys will ambush a speed. Some guys will ambush windows from a pitcher. And pitchers, they have to figure out, okay, what's this guy's, like Will was talking about, tendencies? Is this guy going to swing at an 0-0 fastball? Does he swing? What's his strikeout rate? What's his strikeout pitch? I mean, they're going deep into all of that information, where 10 years ago, I think
it didn't even exist.
Not like it didn't exist. I don't know if people had all the information, but they were just kind of going out and throwing it out there. And, I know pitchers always have a plan, but it's just the routine that they get into in their preparation for the game that I think has gone a little bit more, I don't want to say analytical because it's always been there. I think they think about it a little bit more.
It's good to have both of you because I'm curious about, the pitching now, when you look at Major League Baseball and stuff, it's always about, miles per hour, the people that throw gas and stuff like that. Is it harder to be a pitcher like that and just be able to throw the 95 to 100 miles an hour, which is what people want? Or do you like to mix in, I go back to Greg Maddux, who never threw 100 miles an hour, but he was so effective. And hitting, it's got to be the same thing. I mean, is it, I don't want to say easier to face a guy that throws 100. It's never that easy, but is it easier to face a thrower or a pitcher, if you know what I'm saying? And from your standpoint, is it easier to be a thrower or a pitcher?
I think it definitely helps if you throw 95 plus, but at the same time, I would much rather know where I'm throwing that 95. So that makes it a lot easier to get these guys out. You can jam them or you can throw it on the outside corner. I'd much rather know where I'm throwing it than throw really hard, but it does really help if you can throw 100. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to explain, but there's many different kinds of 95 miles per hour too. In today's game, that matters just as much as throwing 95. If you throw a straight 95 mile an hour fastball, the hitters are good enough to hit it. It's not, the game's progressed so much with velocity that hitters have gone with it and they can hit that now. So now the guys who have the most success are the ones that can, make their fastball run somewhere 8 inches, or the guys who have really high spin on their fastball and they work at the top of the zone. So there's been a lot of studies lately on just pitcher stuff, and what you can do with your ball in terms of movement is more important than even where you locate it sometimes, because you could throw it right down the middle, but if it's moved from the inner half or the outer half a foot, it's still hard for a guy to hit. So I think there's a big emphasis on that now, is just, what your ball is doing, along with the velocity that obviously helps.
Changing sort of the subjects, but I'm curious because I know growing up in Wareham, and when you're 11 or 12 years old, you look at you guys as heroes, for crying out loud. A lot of kids haven't been to a Red Sox game or anything like that, and kids look up to you. In a sense, you're stewards of the game too. And how important is it for you to interact with younger kids and keeping them playing baseball? If they haven't played baseball, get them interested in baseball.
Yeah. I was that kid once too. Kind of, like you said, I looked up to these kids once. And so I think it's important that we keep them involved and, every chance we get, interact with them and make them feel important, because they are. It's a big thing for us to have them at the games. And, who knows where our careers go. But it'd be pretty cool to somewhere down the line run into the same kids that we ran into on these fields.
How about you?
Kind of exactly what Owen said. Just keeping it fun. Because I remember being in their shoes and how fun it was to go to baseball games and watch really good baseball being played. So just kind of what he said, and just keeping it fun, keeping the game fun for them to watch.
Speaking of that, you've got the clinics, as you said, coming up. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So we've been doing the free youth clinics to the different little leagues. I think we have 3 or 4 left that happen on the weekends here, but we have our own youth clinic that we run with the kids. That starts on Thursday, and I think it's the first session is just 3 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then the next 2 weeks we have our youth clinic session. So people can register online, or they can just show up and register the day of and get out there. But it's a good, the clinics aren't huge where you don't get actual FaceTime with the players, and kids develop these bonds, and like everyone here has said, you've all been that kid at some point, so you know how they feel, right? So you want to make sure that you do a good job for them.
Big thing coming up. There's 2 big events coming up. One, which is a great time if anybody hasn't done it, the All-Star Game being held at Spillane Field this year for the first time in a few years.
Right.
A great day. There's no question about it.
Yeah, the All-Star Game is special. It just has a special feeling to it. We've hosted it a few times here at Spillane, but it's the first time since I think 2017 that we're doing it. It's July 23rd. Gates open at 2 o'clock. You can get tickets online. I think they're $6. You come out, you can have the players sign autographs. It's both East and West, so all the kids are there. You watch them take batting practice. There's a home run derby. I think that's at 5 o'clock, and then the game starts at 6:05. And then you just watch, you want to talk about guys throwing 95. You watch about 10 guys who throw 95 and above, and then you watch the hitters try to hit it. So it's a fun day. It's a long day for the people involved in putting it on, and the people who get there at 2 o'clock that stay the whole time. But we'll have good food. I think we have the Sausage King, who's up at Fenway, so he's bringing his stuff down. We have Perry's ice cream stand is bringing the ice cream truck, and then we have Lenny's Catch, who's bringing their truck over. They do seafood and some other stuff. We'll have merchandise and everything, but it's just a fun day. That's just the All-Star Game. Then you were talking about, we have the game at Polar Park.
In Worcester. Yep.
In Worcester. Yep, that is July 25th. That's at 6:45. We're playing the Bourne Braves over there. that Worcester has been great to deal with and to work with, for the past couple of years. So we're going to hopefully go there, obviously this year, and then hopefully next year as well. And then we have on the 29th Star Wars night. So we partnered with Lucasfilm. They're going to have different, I can't say what ones because I don't really know, but they're going to have different Star Wars characters come out. Game starts at 6 o'clock, and I think those are our three biggest things that we have going on.
And one of the things you're trying to emphasize too is you want to get, obviously I think a lot of people in Wareham know who the Wareham Gatemen are. You're trying to get it, you want people from this neck of the woods and beyond to go to the Gatemen games too.
Yeah, right. I mean, I grew up in New Bedford. I think a lot of people know that. I played baseball here. I know that baseball has a rich tradition, not only in New Bedford, also in Fall River and Acushnet and the different areas around. And I don't want the Wareham Gatemen to be the best kept secret for this area. I want people to enjoy it. I feel terrible that the Bay Sox are no longer around, but we're hoping to fill that void if people want to come out. Next year, hopefully we'll play a few games at in the high school there.
Yep.
But for this year, I'm hoping that people will come out. We're doing the free clinics. We're doing with Whaling City. I think the ones coming up are Freetown, Whaling City. We just did Dartmouth, Old Rochester. So we've tried to incorporate all of that as well. But yeah, we're putting on a little bit of a push here to get more into the South Coast area.
How, and we got about 2 minutes left, but I'm curious as to, never mind the baseball, but just the relationships, the people that you meet. It's got to be kind of interesting because instead of being in college where you're more, kept in a cocoon, I guess, you're able to meet people, just everyday people, going to these games. It must be kind of cool to be that, to do that.
Yeah, from both sides of it. I mean, I came into college as a 17-year-old freshman, and one of the first things one of my fifth-year senior teammates said to me was, "You're going to love summer ball." I told him early on that I was planning on heading to Wareham, and he said to me, "It's going to be the best summer of your life. You're going to meet some friends that last your entire life." So, I didn't really know what to expect because I hadn't been through it, but now having gone through it 2 years, the teammate aspect of it as well as the community aspect, this is another home for me. So I've enjoyed my time here, and obviously the relationships that I've built, from a team perspective and community perspective have been great.
Well, how about you?
Kind of what Owen said. He's been here for a couple of years now, and being this my first year, I'm already experiencing that. Like, I'm already meeting guys from other teams or even the guys on our teams that I know that I'm probably going to stay in touch with after the summer is over with.
Well, it's been great. It's actually gone by very fast.
Yes.
So I thank you all for coming in. I wish you guys the best of luck for the rest of the season and beyond that. And obviously, I wish you the best of luck here as we keep going. But go down to Spillane Field. It's 15 minutes down the road. That's not a far ride at all.
Yep.
So thank you.
Games are free.
Exactly.
Games are free. That's going to do it for this edition of A Conversation With. I'm Jim Marshall of the New Bedford Cable Network. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon.